right, we're going live. I'm here. You're here. At some point, maybe. And I have fully painted my shore, whatever they are. I'd have to find their card. But as you can see, the shade I put on them darkened them up a lot. So now I'm going to go ahead and start doing some dry brushing. So basically, honestly, it's like I've painted these figures twice because, you know, paint them, shade them, and then pretty much dry brush them. The first thing is to make a decent looking sea green. And and also to see what's going on in chat, since I'm not on chat right now. Hey, Big Vic, what's up? I am painting some Song of Ice and Fire miniatures as usual. So yeah, that's kind of what I got going on. Last night we played Mansions of Madness into the wee hours. And won. So that game's very difficult. So anytime you can win at that game, that's a good time. You know what I mean? Because the game itself is designed to be incredibly difficult. You know. So, all right, I see you. But anyway, how you doing? You're muted.
Okay, how's it going now?
Better.
Now you can hear me.
Yeah, you're there.
Okay. How's it going today?
Well, I mean, I was tired. We were up really late last night. Played Mansion of Madness second edition. We won, so that was good. Thanks to me, really. Yeah, like thanks to me. But of course, I was playing my favorite character, but instead of using the stock mini, I had a 3D printed version of Jim Culver. He's the blues man from Louisiana. Hey, Crafting Gamer, how you doing, man? Crafting, I'm thinking, and gaming.
Hey, I gotta apologize to you, by the way.
Why?
Yesterday, my phone, when it went off, your R2D2.
Oh,
It was like it's the only sound I can hear in my semi truck when you're going down the road. You know, normal ringtones will be like you might catch a little bit of it, but with a R2D2, it's such a high pitch that you hear it over every other noise, no matter what. And it's like, oh, hey, I got a phone call coming in.
you don't have to apologize to me for that, man.
Oh, wow. You know. I just thought it was a little rude, so.
I didn't. I thought somebody was getting a phone call.
No.
I don't worry too much about that sort of thing.
Well.
But, so
what
yeah.
Else is going on?
Well, I mean, other than I think the ladies are trying to figure out what we're doing for dinner, which it sounds like they're leaning towards Italian.
Oh, nice! I had that last night. I had leftovers from Christmas. Lasagna, 6-cheese lasagna with smashed up meatballs and pork in a layer of it, and
nice.
Yeah, nice. Got me nice and fat last night.
The wife made pulled pork It was really good. She seasons it up and everything. So,
Oh, that's nice. By the
hey,
way, I'm over 10% now on the to curses. Like yeah, over 10%. So I'm
nice.
happy so far on it.
Daniel Barry, hello. How are you? Thanks for dropping in. Um, so anyway, hanging out with the brother-in-law and sister-in-law, having a pretty good time, and uh, decided to come in here. I mean, I didn't do any streaming or anything yesterday because just too busy all day, you know. Uh, and then I decided I was going to come in here and stream while I paint, which is, kind of what I do, you know. And I'm on the last step for these guys, other than the basing, which is to do all the highlighting, which isn't too difficult, honestly. I mean, green is always an easy color to work with. It's not like yellow or white. So after I do the green cloaks, then I'll do the gray clothes because they're all wearing basically gray. And dry brushing gray is really, really easy. Barely an inconvenience. And then I'll do the metal and they'll be pretty much done. The leather really doesn't need to be dry brushed. It looks good as is. But the rest of it just got too dark. You know what I mean? So that you start losing
Mm-hmm.
detail. And I'm not even going to show it off, but for kicks, I did paint a bunch more of the frigate I have. And so it's getting there. Probably should have painted the frigate before I put the rigging and the cells and everything on. That would have probably been a better idea, but you know, I just get so excited to paint or to build the things that sometimes I build them when I shouldn't. Hey, how you doing, Bobby?
Mobius. See Mobius in there. I don't know who Daniel Berry Sport Highlights is. I've never seen that one before in here.
Well, Daniel Barry shows up every single time. But it depends on whether he hangs out or not. But he always, anytime I go live, he always drops in to say hi. Like clockwork, you know what I mean?
Yep, I hear you.
He's very reliable about that. And sometimes when he hangs out, we talk sports stuff. But honestly, I'm not a super fan of any sports. I mean,
Oh, I know. It's
I guess
you're sort of like me and knowing about NASCAR. I'm sort of like, they make left-hand turns. It really doesn't do anything for me.
yeah. I got asked what I knew about NASCAR during Christmas, and I was like, left-hand turns. But I mean, I know it's got great history, and some people just love it.
But you know what? Everybody, that's like Dungeons and Dragons. Some people love it, some people hate it. You know what I mean? It's just everybody's got their fascination.
I guess. See, as a kid, I think I liked it because I remember being a fan of Richard Petty and owning the Matchbox car, his blue Pontiac Roadrunner, I think it was. I think the Roadrunner is Pontiac.
Did you read the latest article that yesterday that was in the Guardian about Dungeons and Dragons?
No, but I did see the. Oh wait, are you talking about the one where they're quoting the New York Times?
Yeah, it says Orcs, Elves, Culture Wars: How Diversity in D&D Met a Right-Wing Backlash. I'm like, right-wing backlash? It isn't right-wing or left-wing or anything like that. What a bunch of horse shit, as far as I'm concerned. I'll
Well,
post the link up here.
do you know what's weird? And this is something I've never quite understood, and maybe somebody can help me out with that. But what is so necessarily bad about being right wing?
It isn't even that about Dungeons and Dragons, as far as I'm concerned. It is old school versus new school. We look at it and we're like, these rule changes are a little bit too extreme for us. And well, I think that that as far as I'm concerned, any species or race or whatever they want to call them is, you know, you got too much power. You're throwing around too much power. Everybody had their niche. You know what I mean? Your species or your race had your niches, and that's my thing about it. Nobody, not everybody had the use of magic. Stuff like that. So that's my thing. I
Well,
don't
first
care.
off, the Guardian is basically like the UK's Inquirer.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, like no one from the UK takes the Guardian serious on anything.
Well.
Mr. Hermit Man. There's Jeff. There's the Squirrel Hermit. So I wouldn't worry about. But I mean, my actual what I was saying though, it's like these people will say this caused a bunch of right wing this or YouTube is a pipeline to the right wing, and it's like, but what's wrong with the right wing? I mean, I don't get it. It's like, is that supposed to be an insult, calling somebody right wing?
I
And if
guess
it is, it's not working because I don't feel insulted.
I'm not. I laugh it off, but I'm just like, hold it here. I know guys that are, liberals and right wing and conservatives, and guess what? We all have the same feelings about this latest edition of Dungeons and Dragons and how they've ripped up the rule book and basically thrown it out the window to recreate it so that nobody's feelings are hurt.
Well,
Or
I will
stepped on.
admit that the new version of D&D, it's not like it's just disliked by right-wing conservatives or whatever. Like a lot of people, regardless of their um, political
Political
affiliation,
affiliation,
they just
social
don't like
affiliations.
it.
Right.
It has nothing to do with whatever. But yeah, I was looking at the bigger point.
I'm looking at the huge picture. I'm like, okay, I'm 50 plus years old. I started playing way back in the day. It doesn't matter what my politics are, my social, you know what I mean? I'm fiscally conservative, socially liberal. It doesn't matter what that is. My problem was with the rule changes. That is the biggest thing that I have a problem with. It's like when you tell me I can be a half dragon, half dwarf, magic user, blah 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 blah. I just want to just puke. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like I keep saying when people ask me, if you play 5e with the original 3 books, you can have a really good experience. Like one that even the old school guys are like, yeah, that's not too bad. And don't use a lot of the optional rules because that's kind of it's the optional rules and stuff that kind of make it where you're no longer really playing D&D, you're playing some kind of medieval superhero game.
Right. Well,
But
in
like
second,
if you get rid of the long and short rests and you don't allow multi-classing and all that kind of shit, then it's a good game. I mean, I ran it for a couple of years And like I said, at the end of that couple of years, the reason I quit was, one, the campaign ended, and two, I was just like, okay, it's not a horrible game, but is it the best game I've played? And the answer was no. It wasn't a horrible game, but it wasn't the best one I owned, you know?
And
So
really,
then I went back to OSC.
and really, you know, who made D&D starting having those things is when it came to second edition, and you got to these splat books, you know, like here I don't know if anybody remembers the brown splat books
Of course.
like humanoids and this and that. These books,
Right.
and those started coming out, and then they added more options to the game, you know, which is all a money grab, and that. What was her name?
Lauren.
What was her name?
It was Lauren something.
Oh,
but you have to remember too, when they were doing the cash grab with 2E, a part of that was that 2E was so far in debt that they were trying to dig themselves out of a hole. Warren Williams, maybe?
Lorraine Williams. Lorraine, that's what it was.
Yeah, they were so far in a hole they were trying to dig themselves out of, but they never could. And that's when they started just spamming all kinds of, you know, cash grabby kind of shit. But the problem was the hardcore players like me weren't buying it.
Well, yeah, she was. Well, once Gygax was thrown out, you know, everybody was like, well, you know, why do we want to buy this? And we all looked at second edition and we're like, it's okay, but it's watered down. It was watered down so much for the religious, what do you want to call it? Satanic panic people, that it was like, oh, I don't know about this. I don't know if I want this.
Which is so backwards, because if there's any call for there to be a satanic panic, it would be now. In old school D&D, you were not allowed to play a half demon character who got all of their powers from, you know, infernal sources. That was not a thing. You could play a paladin, you could play a fighter, but you weren't allowed to play these, like, you weren't allowed to play a necromancer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you look at 5e and you go with Tasha's, you can literally play the most demonic shit ever. You know, I'm a tiefling, diabolical powers, and my father's Asmodeus, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, so basically you're the child of the devil, and you're running around in an adventuring group, and all of your powers come from hell. Yeah, that's satanic panic worthy. You know, the rest of it was just a bunch of people who, like Protestant churches or whatever, that just got freaking bent out of shape over something. I mean, at that time, as a young Jewish lad, let me tell you, no one cared. Like, it's not like the rabbi was ever like, oh, and by the way, leave this D&D alone, you know?
Yeah.
No, it was mostly Baptists and all that bunch. I guess a few Roman Catholics might have been involved.
I don't know. All I know is my mom got visited by one of those kooky ladies that say, Dungeons and Dragons is bad, blah, 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 blah. And my mom took my books away for one night, went and read them, came back, said, so do you play evil characters or do you play good? I said, good, Mom. She handed me my books back and said, have fun. Walked away.
See, my mom didn't even do that because she bought me my books.
My mom bought them too, but then she listened to some kooky lady from the church, and, you know, thank God we never saw that lady come back around again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, as you do, though. As you do, someone showed up. No, my church had a lot more Um, the synagogue had a lot more stuff to worry about. And now the Orthodox Church, they, at least from what I've been told by one of the priests, they really don't think it's a bad thing. Now, I suppose if you choose to play a half demon and worship, devils and stuff in game, they would probably be like, yeah, there's something wrong with this kid. But the rule was, when I talked to the priest, was as long as you're not doing it to the point that it's preventing you from handling things you should be doing.
Hey, Les.
That's just normal stuff. What's up, Les? How you doing it?
Oh, doing good.
Yeah, I'm dry brushing these. I put the cards up, so now I don't know their names because I'm new. Storm Wave Crashers or some shit.
What's this Squirrel Hermit is talking about? This rumor about a gaming outfit concerning the D&D line. What is that, Squirrel Hermit?
A gambling group. From what I understand, it's because of how they're trying to monetize the game. And let's be honest, if you want to talk Black Tide Chosen, that's who they are. If you want to talk about somebody who has done a great job at monetizing shit, it's definitely these gambling companies.
Oh, yeah. But
because they come out of nowhere and now they're like a multi-billion-dollar industry. Of course, all on people losing, and people have killed themselves because, they spent all their rent money on online gambling and shit.
Yeah, one of my boys was gambling. I looked at him and said, "You're stupid." And he was like, "What do you mean? I made $50 last week." I said, "When you lose a paycheck because you bet on something that you thought was a sure thing, you'll figure it out."
Man, when I worked construction, there were a couple of guys I worked with, and it was like every payday they would be at the convenience store, the Circle K or whatever,
getting those little
buying
scratch
scratch-offs.
Yep.
Scratch-offs and pull tabs,
and they never cared. It's like they would do that every payday, and then every now and then they'd win. They'd be like, "I won $50," and it would be like, "Yeah, but you've lost like
probably 1,000 or so,
hundreds at least, 1,000 maybe left."
Yeah, they're not in it to break even.
But all you remember is that one time that you won a couple bucks.
To be fair, some of those scratch-offs are actually, kind of gameable, I guess you could say.
But hold on,
you have to be careful, though.
They're okay. It costs money to print them. It costs money to collect the money. It costs money to distribute the money. It costs money to have the employees. They are.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm not. Yeah, I know. Most of the time, you're not going to find them that are gameable, but some of them have these weird quirks that actually make it where you could make money off of them. They usually don't last long.
There's only one game in Vegas I go and play, and that is the craps table, because it's throwing dice. And I've made more money on the craps table than anything else.
Sued?
Huh?
Do you remember when McDonald's got sued for over the Monopoly game?
Oh yeah.
No, I didn't remember that one.
And it was rigged by one of their employees.
Yeah, it was like, plus the game, the odds of winning that game were so small. Yeah, it was like you could eat at McDonald's every day and order whatever the meals were and get the 3 freaking tickets a day for your whole life and never win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it was designed.
And those employees, that one employee rigged it all for him and his associates and something else. I don't remember. It was where he fucked up was where his family members, his extended family members started winning.
Right. Right. But I think if you look up how many people ever won like the grand prize of millions of dollars or whatever, it's like nobody,
Nobody, not really.
you know, like
Those
no
who
one
do,
ever
you'll hear
actually
like a
won.
one-off crazy person who actually does win that one-off $1 million, and it doesn't help them. It actually makes their life worse.
Right. But
There's a few reasons for that, though. One, usually you're giving it to somebody who doesn't know how to, work with that much finance in the first place. Two, other people will hear about that and be like, maybe I could get something out of that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that if you win the lottery, it's best to become a hermit, or else never
Yeah.
show that you won.
You never,
You know what I mean?
never tell your family, never tell any friend that you won the lottery. Hide
Yeah.
in the hole, because if you don't,
Well,
it's gonna
I told my
backfire.
girlfriend, I said flat out, I said I would move to Florida, buy 480 acres. I put a house right in the dead center of it, put up nice electric fences and stuff, and say, "F you and everybody else, don't come around."
I'd probably find some nice property a little bit north of London, Kentucky, and do the same thing maybe.
I'm pretty sure there's a bit of land in Kentucky where I could buy, and just that's where all that money would go into.
Yep. See, it depends how much I won because if I won a lot of it, I would get in contact with the guy that used to do Otherworld miniatures, and I would try to buy all the intellectual rights and everything and all of his old molds. And then I would probably, not probably, I know I would do this. I would get in touch with the guy who owns currently OSE, and I would offer to buy that. And then I would buy at least a couple of plastic injection machines, and I would pay, and it would cost lots of money because a mold costs about $10,000 to get done.
Mhm.
But all of those other world figures that were so awesome in metal, I would have molds cut so that they could be done on plastic. And I would probably, not probably, I keep saying probably when this is the plan. If I won like $100+ million, I would have to buy a warehouse in an zoned industrial, and I would set up a plastic injection molding shop. So I'd have to hire a couple people, and I would start producing Otherworld miniatures in hard plastic.
I just make myself a little gun range. That's all I want.
Well, I mean, I already got one of those.
I don't.
I would do
Online's
480
not good
acres,
for it.
surround
Yeah,
it with
I got
barbed
30
wire.
acres on a mountainside. I can hang out and shoot at whatever I want.
Well, I do 480 acres, and one of the things I would do, James, is I would have the ultimate Dungeons and Dragons room, meaning you come in and it'd be the full tavern experience sort of thing with a bar and everything else, and we'd all sit around, and I'd have some extra rooms out on the property where my friends, if they flew in or decided to come for the weekend, and be like, "Oh, take cabin number 3. Go ahead. You just take cabin number 3. We're going to game. We'll start gaming tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I'll have the, what do you want, Greek food catered in?" And we just game
good.
all day. You know what I mean? So,
see,
like,
I'm talking about if I won that big money like the Powerball, I would own businesses.
I don't know if I
Mainly
would own
Otherworld miniatures. I would be, like I said, I'd be printing that shit out nonstop. And then also I would buy OSE.
I don't know if that would be the best thing to do, though. I think that I make more money just keeping my money in the market and just let it churn money, and just spending that 1/3 of the interest money every year. And
Yeah,
just
put the money in stocks. So, you know,
Yeah,
pick a safe
yeah, yeah.
stock, and you can do that, and you'll make.
That's what I
And
was.
John. Do you remember that? Like,
Amazon.
I want to invest my money on South Park, and the guy's like, "Okay, investing," and he's like, "And it's gone." And the guy's like, "What?" But anyway, no, because think about what I'm talking about. What I'm
Yeah.
talking about is like having, something to do. And also, if you were able to mass produce in plastic those Otherworld miniatures, you could sell them cheap, like 10 orcs in different poses for, $15 or something, which is how much you would pay for like 3 orcs. And then if I owned OSC, then I could, actually, I don't think I would change anything with OSC except the fact that I'd be the guy who owned it. So it would still have the guy who created its name on it, like created by, and then it would just, owned by would be me. And I would, people could still buy it and whatever. I would probably do a lot more advertising for both of those products, like at game cons and stuff, to make sure, to try and build up a little bit more interest. Because OSC, I don't think the guy who owns OSC pushes it near enough. And the guy who did Otherworld miniatures, for one, for a lot of people, they were cost prohibitive. And for two, he didn't really push it. Whereas I would be the guy that would be showing up at every game con because I could, and buying a table and setting this shit up and really pushing the product.
Oh, speaking of which, if somebody's looking for a job, I think it was Goodman Games is looking for somebody to do all the conventions in the Southeast. So if somebody was looking for a job like that, they're looking for a gig to go around, and I think they're looking for one out on the West Coast and one in Denver, Colorado, or something like that. But
Well,
Southeast United States, you're going to conventions on them. So that'd be pretty cool. But because basically you're only working from 10 a.m. to 4 basically every day, and the rest of the time you can go gaming stuff. So
yep, best of luck, Goodman Games.
Well, isn't Goodman puts out DCC? And
If I wanted to do what you did, I almost wanted to try to either get like Avalon Hill or something, but no, Avalon Hill has to be owned by Hasbro.
Right.
I wanted to see what happened to them because I couldn't remember what happened to them.
Another thing that you would want to do too is come up with a setting, and then a relatively simple, good war game that used the Otherworld miniatures.
Yeah.
So that, you would broaden the whole, you can buy these to play OSC or D&D or whatever you play with them. Or this war game where, you can have the hobgoblins with their own empire and the orc horde.
You can have a system neutral. I do a system neutral setting. I mean, that's not the problem.
Not to mention, there is that one weird war game that you talked about. What was it? That one that had the weird map where you had like kingdoms and you could conquer kingdoms.
Oh, that's Oathmark. Yeah,
Oathmark.
That's a good war game.
Is that sort of like the old diplomacy game?
No, Oathmark is a miniature game, but before you build your army, you have to build your kingdom.
Oh.
And then depending on the choices you made while building your kingdom, that determines what forces you can take in your army.
Yep.
So you take a piece of paper or print it out that's got concentric circles on it, and the center is your capital. So you might write human capital, and then there's 3 spaces outside of that, and you might write forest lands, Rocky Mountains, swamps. And then each of these different geographical areas allows you to take not only different troops, but different races of troops.
Oh,
So it is I had a video. I might have to redo it better, but it's entirely possible in Oathmark to build an army where every fantasy race from Lord of the Rings is in your army.
And probably other weird things. I mean, that's
Like,
probably not the weirdest
oh yeah,
thing to do.
giants and all kinds of shit. But I mean, depending on how you build your kingdom, you could have a human king, you could have dwarf warriors, elf warriors, halfling warriors, the undead, elves, like all in the same army.
I'll start off with the goblins and just build off of there.
However, what do I always do? Here is my Oathmark army, and it's all human. And it's all mounted because there's no rules about that. So I usually fill 2 good-sized units of heavy cavalry and 2 pretty good-sized units of horse archers. And that's pretty much it, you know?
I'm going to make a goblin army and goblinate everything.
Goblinate. And one good thing about Oathmark, though, is it is miniatures agnostic. So, like, all the miniatures in this box are actually gripping beast Byzantines. So, you know, cataphracti, cavallari, and the horse archers.
Just too bad elves aren't goblins.
Well, I mean, you know. But, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of start a business, start pushing certain role-playing game products. Maybe even start a con up in Kentucky somewhere.
Cool, one that I could go to.
Yeah, I call it Hill Con or some shit. And put it in the middle of London or Somerset. You know, somewhere in that area. Actually, E-Town would be probably the most central location.
Yeah, that would probably be where you'd have to do it. I mean,
because E-Town is like right in the center of the damn state.
Yeah, and it's big enough where I could see it possible. Either that or you'd have to go to one of the cities.
Yeah, because the nearest city from where I live only has like 20,000 people in it.
That's not a city, that's a town.
Whereas Orlando, Metro, Orange County, well over 1 million. So, yeah. Which is why when I talk, you know, I'm always like, when people are like, I can never find players, and I'm always like, I never have a problem filling my table up. But to be fair, if you're like Condor or somebody and you live in, you know, the ass crack of Canada someplace.
Or Kentucky, come on. I left Brownsville, and that was basically a third of the town gone.
Or Brownsville, then yeah, you probably have a lot harder time finding players. But if you live in Florida, where there are literally millions of people, and you know,
there is
9
not much
different
in Brownsville.
Huge game stores in the city, you know, it's a lot different. Also, if you ever play any MMO, just for fun, go on your MMO and like type in Florida represent, and prepare to be shocked when like a third of the people playing the MMO are all from Florida. That was how Dark Age of Camelot was. It was like,
I can see it. Florida is definitely much more populous.
Yeah, because there's so many people and it's so hot in the summertime.
And then there's also the fact
go on like EQ or Dark Age of Camelot or something and just be like, Florida represent, and everybody would be like,
I'm pretty sure also Florida is one of those places that house servers for MMOs.
I don't know. But
that
yeah,
seems to be a thing. I remember
that there are like, a lot of Floridians.
It's like Florida, Texas, Chicago. Those are 3 like server areas that you'll get for
you
MMO.
do see a lot of people from Texas. What you don't see in MMOs very often is people from up north.
No.
like every now and then you might see some Canadians or something,
Yeah.
but like you could go your whole life playing MMOs and never meet somebody from Minnesota.
Yeah, somebody I talked to actually was in, let me think about this. Gary, Indiana.
Oh God. No wonder
Yeah.
he was playing MMOs. He was afraid to go outside.
Yeah.
He was in a
Where
much
he's
more
getting
rural side
practice.
of it. He always talked about his internet being radio internet, which I never thought was a thing. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
Like, who knew you could actually have internet go through radio waves?
What's funny is Gary gets such a bad reputation, except when people say Gary's the murder capital of the world, what's really happening is people in Chicago are dumping bodies in Gary.
Yeah, true.
And then the Gary police find the body and they're like, okay, we got another murder, right?
Yeah.
But did the murder happen in Gary or was
No,
it
it was most
Chicago
likely in
taking
Chicago.
each other out and then
But
dumping
again,
Gary?
Gary's still a pretty bad place. You don't want to be around it. It's most likely just more overflow than anything, but still, you don't want to be around it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in the rural areas, you're probably safe.
Well, it's like Pikeville.
Yeah.
You know, people talk about Pikeville being like nice, whatever. But let me tell you, if you live in Pikeville, be prepared to defend all the copper wiring in your house. Because the second you turn your back and you're not paying attention, those people will steal every bit of copper out of your house. Like they will pull the power lines down if they have to. Because so many people in Pikeville and that part of Kentucky are hooked on meth. It's just like and like Harlan County, you can buy a huge house in Harlan County for like the cost of a really good CD player. But no one wants to live in Harlan County because it's just, tore up, man. Now it gets more expensive as you go west in Kentucky. It's like the further west you go, the more expensive it gets. Which is, I'm okay with that.
I'm just glad where I live. It's not that bad for the most part.
Yeah, like where I live, it's awesome because I know everyone knows me.
Really, it's better than the last place I lived in Edmonton County. God, that was terrible.
If you're in there effing around and people don't know you, you get called out quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people let you know you need to go ahead and head on down the road.
FAFO.
Yeah, the little area I live in, which you can't even really call a town because it's not a municipality or anything. It's just
that's the thing. You're outside. The only people that are coming around is the state sheriff and the highway patrol if there's something major.
And they ain't coming around either.
No.
So it's like the only people who pull off the 27 to go down that road are people who live there. And if you're not one of them, the first house you pass, by the time you get to the end of that road, everybody knows. And it's like, you better know
that's
somebody.
Why I said I want 480 acres. You turn on the property, you're expect to be you're going to be cited right away.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like
if you pull off that road, you had better know somebody. When my wife and I went up there, they didn't recognize my wife's car. And everybody was like up in arms and shit. But then we stopped off at, a relative. And, I got out of the car and I'm like, hey, and they immediately recognized me. At which point, then she was good. Because everybody's like, that silver car belongs to James's wife. And my family has a lot of like clout in that region of Kentucky, mainly because, so many of us have gone to prison for killing people. And yeah, that's not a joke though. And so as soon as they hear, James McKee, or my other surname, yeah, most people are like, yeah, okay, we're not playing around with these guys. They've got a reputation, of taking people off the census, especially on the one side of my family. Somebody just popped in. Let's see who we got.
Ooh.
We've got a bear.
Oh,
What's up, Bear?
Look out, bear
Go
sighting.
Bears.
The Canadian reprobate is Bear.
The Canadian
go out to the
king
woods
of Canadian
today,
reprobates. Thank you very much.
Yeah, get that right.
right? Isn't that
In
the
the
song?
presence of a bear, we are royalty in this country, sir.
If you go out to the woods today, you might find the bears.
You might
at
be in
play.
for a big surprise.
Yeah,
You better go in disguise, though.
yeah.
I took a break. I just managed to finally complete a chapter that has been tasking me in this weird urban horror I've been writing. I managed to get it fucking where I wanted it. I saw you were on. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take a break from writing and come talk to the boys.
Well, I'm glad you did. Both things. I am
How's
happy
2025 working out for you so far?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. Soon enough, I'll be playing my cleric.
Rawr.
Your cleric?
Yeah, my cleric of Heronius.
Do tell.
This Sunday we got a game, and I'm gonna be a cleric of I'm a cleric of Heronius who gets to do cool things like
Nice.
swing a giant axe at people.
Nice. Last time I played a cleric, it was of St. Cuthbert of the Cudgel. And,
Both Greyhawk.
and I played them with a Scottish accent. He was quite an entertaining fellow.
Yeah.
God, I can't remember last time I got to play one of my players.
Really, if anything,
On old, on old. I'm a dungeon master for life now. I feel,
That used to be Bear's name.
Yeah, I used to be Forever
His
DM.
channel name used to be the Forever DM.
Yeah. And then when they did that bullshit with the OGL, I
Yeah.
decided to change it to Bear the Gen X GM.
Hi,
Because fuck
James, your
Watsy and DM.
dedication to painting minis is an inspiration. This is a hobby. But if it inspires you, that is awesome. But there's a couple of things going on here. One, it's relaxing. Two, I hate it, but I look forward to being done with it. Because the thing I hate worse than painting miniatures is playing war games with unpainted miniatures.
oh god, I can't wait for it to warm up so I can go fishing.
Yeah, right. And then my doctor that I see once a month told me that painting miniatures was good for me and that I should do it.
There you go.
So, as a form of relaxation. But in all honesty, even though most of you guys see me painting so much, I do not like painting. I don't enjoy it. I'd much rather be playing the games than painting these freaking miniatures. But
Hey,
But
Wes,
on the
it's
other
40-something
hand-
degrees down there in Kentucky. You can be fishing right now.
Oh, technically, yeah, but I don't like the cold.
Well, for what it's
I at least want
worth,
it to be springtime.
right now in Montreal, Mount Royal, it's only 28 degrees, but it feels like 14. So you could come and
is that
fish up
freedom
here.
units, or is
No,
that
that's in freedom units.
Tommy?
In what you like to call commie units, or we call what the rest of the fucking world does, it's -2, but it feels like -10.
It's 20 here, so
Remember
I-
though,
Oh
Bear.
shit! By the way, did you see Dumbass made a video about me right after our little the other day when I'm pretty sure that was him pretending to be the guy. And then when I went to watch it yesterday, he's already taken it down. Like, what the fuck? You do like 10 videos a day, you schizophrenic fuck.
Hey, if you're gonna do it, at least keep it up. I mean,
Exactly.
what's gonna hurt?
Oh, that might be a good thing because that might be a sign of there's some learning going on.
I doubt it highly.
No, it is not learning. They never learn.
It could be a sign that he did something and then he thought about it and was like, yeah, this ain't the right thing to do.
No, I already know
Nothing's
what
going to
happened.
be better. May as well just move on.
They just want to hide the evidence.
Well, okay, maybe, but I mean, I was, trying to silver lining it.
This is the one thing I've learned, especially with my dad. Teaching an old dog new tricks is just never going to happen.
Yeah, that's something you ask people you think are having a stroke.
What?
Repeat after me. You can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Oh, yeah?
And if they can answer it back, well, then that puts them higher up on the Glasgow Coma scale.
Nice.
But if they start mumbling at you and shit, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's something going on here.
See, when I did my industrial, they taught us have them stick their tongue out. And if it goes crooked, get them to the doctor right away,
Right. Well, and
I love this one. This one's great.
I found it funny, though. My dad asked me how you spell college. And he goes, is it A-G-E? And I'm like, what are you trying to spell? Collage?
It's all like, it's pretty obvious somebody didn't go to college.
Did you ever see that Patrice O'Neill bit where he's talking about, like, if you put a gun to my mother's head and said, spell restaurant or she dies, I'd be like, Mom, I love you, but...
Could it be cat instead? I can do cat.
But, yep. So these guys, I've already dry brushed the gray and the green. So now I'm going to dry brush the metal.
That looks pretty good.
And then it'll be time to base them.
That looks cool. And
that will be the Blackguard Storm whatever's Black Tide Chosen. Oh, yeah, we played Mansions of Madness 2nd edition until into the AM last night.
That sounds fun.
It was. And what was especially fun about it is I am the reason everyone won.
Oh, nice.
Yep. My character's the one that broke up all the ritual bullshit that the cultists were trying to do and escaped from the house before the Loiger could get us and kill us.
Yeah, let's do that in Call of Cthulhu. Let's see if it works as well.
I mean, it should. I mean, other than the fact that my character's name is Jim Culver and certain assholes kept calling me Jim Crow. And I'm like, why are you guys being this way?
It's easier to pronounce. That's just it. Jim Crow. It's easier.
Except, okay, I'm playing a black character. Don't call me Jim Crow.
What? You're saying that there couldn't be a black guy named Jim Crow?
I guess there could, but that just doesn't seem right to me.
That would be the most badass metal band ever. A bunch of black guys playing in a band called Jim Crow. And they just do like death metal. Like that would be the most, I would be like, I'm buying every fucking album.
That'd be funny. That'd be hilarious.
I'm going to get a van. I'm going to fucking follow them on tour like the Grateful Dead. Like they are my life now. Fuck.
You know, Bear, if I did that, I'd have to get the van. It has to be like one of those solid panel side vans and have like it painted with Jim Crow and their faces on it.
Oh, absolutely. You'd have to like have a total like heavy metal fucking magazine cover painting of the band.
Yes.
That would be the best thing ever.
Of course.
Well, I will say this, they'd be a lot of fun to hang out with.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Because they are like not taking shit serious.
If they've got that level of sense of humor, they're fucking the shit. You know what I mean?
But yeah, so the whole thing is we showed up at a place. People had been going missing.
Okay, you know what? How much would a solid panel van be? Because now I gotta want to get one and just paint it yellow and white, yellow and black.
I was looking into it about 5 years ago or something like that. I wanted to get myself. Now the prices are insane, but before COVID, I wanted to get a Dodge Caravan, like one of those like 70s vans, you know what I mean? I don't know which one, but I was looking at a few of them, and the prices were pretty good. They were a couple $1,000s in like fix them up condition at the time. And then I looked into what it would cost to convert one to electric, And that was only like another $5,000 to put in the batteries in the bed and all this stuff. And I was like, God damn, this looks like something I could do. And then COVID hit, and now you go look at those things, they're like $15,000, $25,000.
That's not fair. That's not fair at all.
You just gotta, Barry. You just gotta look a little harder and deeper. I gotta line
I
out
live in Canada. I don't get a very hard, deep weld. You fucking Americans, you need to get it through your head that we have 1/10 of your fucking population.
I know that, but
you guys, Americans say that. Why don't you just go check out your local gaming store? We have one in the entire city, and it's 95% French product. What's wrong with you, fuck? You know?
I partially can feel that because I live in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky. There's nothing. Like, the best that we have is a Walmart.
Okay, imagine you're in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky, but everybody speaks German.
That would be even
so
worse.
Most of the product you find in the stores is in German first.
Give it some time.
Anyway.
We'll probably have it in...
Yes, I'm sure I could find some fucking hillbilly with one up on blocks in his backyard willing to part with it for the right price. Yes, I'm absolutely sure of that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that eventually you'll run across it if you look hard enough.
No, eventually what's going to happen is your country's going to get its head out of its ass, and my country's going to get its head out of its ass, and it's going to find a way to make car companies start offering $20,000 cars again, because they do it in the rest of the world where car prices didn't shoot up during COVID, but in North America, they've allowed the car companies to get to a point where they won't make $20,000 cars because they don't see them as profitable. It's better to lose money on more expensive cars to sell than it is to sell a higher volume of more inexpensive cars. But I watched a whole documentary about it. It was fucking fascinating, the way they were explaining how the breakdown of the car industry works and why in North America you can't get brand new cars for under, $20,000 and under from the car companies. It's not because it would cost them that much to make them. It's just because they would rather sell $50,000 SUVs or higher, right?
Yeah.
But it's coming. There's going to be a flip because people don't want to be paying these car prices anymore. Like, it's clear people have had enough of this shit.
You're looking at a guy who won't pay more than $5,000 for a car anymore.
Yeah, but here's the problem: when all the used cars get bought up, and nobody's buying the new cars, in about 10 years, you got a real problem for car ownership.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I said I want to move to Florida and get a nice hunk of property. I'll just keep buying these used ones that are the same as I got. And I'll just put them up on blocks out in the middle of the field. I don't care.
Drive them until they literally explode.
Well,
Hey, Doc, you joining us?
But yeah, Bear, I kind of want to do that. Now get a yellow,
here's the
like a
difference.
van.
I don't know if any of you guys can do it. I can rebuild an engine from scratch. You know what I mean?
I
Just
can't,
get a block and I will rebuild it. So, and that's one of the things I want to do when I get down to Florida.
But my version of what you're talking about involves getting online and just buying a new one and having it shipped in the crate.
Yeah,
and then hiring some guys to drop it in for me and hook it up.
No. I'm talking getting a block and actually putting in the. Oh,
I know what you're talking about.
I definitely should have learned from my papa. He could make a car. Like, he gets a car. My papa, he gets a car from the lot. It'll be better than when he got it off the lot once he owns it.
Yeah, my grandpa was like that, and he was not trained. It was just something I guess he learned over time.
I mean, I've slowly collected all the tools to do everything. The only thing I won't be able to do is bore out a whatever. But I'll bring that in. You have them bored out and bring it back to me with everything ready, and I'll just.
I guess working on a truck is not as hard as working on a helicopter.
Yeah, you guys understand though. Like, that means you're only dealing with cars that are like 25 years or older.
Yeah,
that's fine. Everything since like 2004, 2005 has a computer in it.
Right.
Right. Well,
my 85 Ford pickup truck out here
it's still like, okay, some of the stuff might not work exactly properly, but it's not like the new ones where you'll get catastrophic failures from those computers not working.
My mechanic friend tells me that, like, in 2009, he had to go back to relearn how to do computer shit.
I know. But I think overall, it's just at that edge where you could still work on them. There might be some sensor issues, but they work fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't get too comfortable in that territory there, buddy. I'm just saying.
I'm telling you, it's a brand new
Fiat in 2013.
I'd still rather have like older cars anyway. So I'd much rather have like something from like 90s, 80s, 70s.
Right. But this Fiat I bought was like super easy to work on.
Yeah.
And what was crazy is, as small as it was, as a 500 Sport, with the manual transmission and all, as small as the car was, when you popped the hood, there was like a ton of room in there.
Yeah.
Because it had basically it just had an upgunned four banger in it.
Yeah.
They say that's the way to avoid getting your car stolen these days, is get manual transmission.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
well,
they
the-
see that
Nobody knows how to
shit.
drive it.
Barry, it's 99-point-something% of cars had automatic transmissions last year that were stolen.
Yep.
The rest were manual. So I was like, well, I guess my manual four-wheel drive, my manual two-wheel drive pickup truck out in the driveway is not going to get stolen anytime soon.
I worked at a car wash one time, and all the expensive cars have these bizarre procedures you have to go through to move them. You don't just turn the gas on anymore. It's like you got to hold your hand out the window and bounce on the seat and do all this weird crap.
Press
on
the button while you stick a
dashboard to get
finger
it
up your
started.
nose.
And
Yeah.
it's ridiculous, and they're all different. And it's half the time you go to start the car, and you got to go find the guy. How do I start your damn car? Oh, well, you got to do this, and you got to put your foot down.
Do you have a vial of virgin's blood available?
Obviously, you didn't rub the sacred oil on
Yeah.
the engine components and say the right prayers to the machine spirit.
Thank you, Astres Mechanica.
Right. But yeah, my Fiat was cool too. It had a button that put it into sports steering, because if you drove it normal, it had normal car steering, but when you hit the sports thing, that steering would get a lot stiffer, but the car would be a lot more reactive. You know what I mean?
Power steering.
And then, well, it was power steering. It was supposed to help you. Basically, you turn the wheel less, but the tires turn more.
Yeah, I know, but I think that's what.
Oh, it's reactive steering.
Oh.
And even though it was a four banger, that thing would hit 120 on the turnpike, no problem.
That thing
Weighs
wasn't big
50
though, was it?
pounds.
I'd go off the line, and it'd just be first, second, third, fourth, and that
I
thing
mean, the
would
power
already
to
be
weight
doing
ratio
90
was
miles
probably
an hour.
really good.
Yeah, I got to get a new car, and I'm dreading it 'cause I don't
1997
want
Jeep runs
anything.
great, straight six. Paid
He's
$700.
just bragging up his shit. Just ignore Squirrel. He's just bragging up. No one likes a braggart, Squirrel. No one likes a braggart.
Well, when I bought my Volkswagen bus, but that would be 25 years ago, I paid $300 for it.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it didn't run, but it had all the parts were there. It just didn't run. So then I took it home, and you know what? Back then, it turned out Volkswagen parts were cheap as shit. So I rebuilt the whole engine myself using the Idiot's Guide to Rebuilding Volkswagen Engines. And, upgraded it with the bigger jugs of 60 mil instead of 40, and a brand new oil pump and oil cooler. And it was manual. It was your typical European H with the, push down and back for reverse. That thing, I worked on it. I must have spent maybe $400 in parts rebuilding the whole thing. And I drove the shit out of it.
You can buy.
When I sold it, it was still driving.
I was online the other day, and I found a 327 Ford motor for less than $400. I mean, complete. So I was like, maybe, I'm not really looking until I move down to Florida. And then I'm gonna go buy one and put it into my garage and work on it slowly but surely, and have a spare sitting there for if I ever blow up the one in my pickup truck, have a spare sitting there,
If
See,
you're
that's
moving
the
to Florida,
regret
get a car
when
down
Hungar
here,
blew
so you don't
up
have to
the
pay
yellow
immigrant
Chevy.
fees.
When Hungar blew up my yellow Chevy full-size truck,
Yeah.
instead of getting rid of it, I should have just bought another 350, because it had 350 big block in it.
Yeah.
And just had somebody drop that new engine in. But Hungar, I mean, of course, you guys know I love him to death, but we used to call him the car killer.
He crashed a lot.
Not crash, just like stuff
Cars.
you can't even blame him for almost.
Always happened to him, huh?
Yeah, it's like if you loaned him a vehicle, something really terrible was going to happen.
Yeah, one of my dad's friends, I think, wrecked one of his Chevy Impalas, which was one of his favorite cars.
Look at this guy riding around, the middle of rural Kentucky in a 6'4" Impala. Got that side to side switches. No,
hey, we never talk shit about Pimpalas. Pimpalas are the fucking shit, fucking amazing cars. Don't talk shit about Pimpalas, man.
Dad likes them.
the Impala is nice. I'd rather have a GTO though.
I'm saying, when you can't afford a GTO, when you can't afford a sexy car, you get a Pimpala, because that's what low, discount pimps drive, baby.
Better the Monte Carlo.
Sort of like the gutless cutlasses.
Well, down here, a lot of the homies, when I lived in the hood, they were all driving like Chryslers, like big Chrysler sedans,
Well,
like
my mom,
like cop car looking cars,
Yeah.
Oh, here's something. My mom.
And then all the metalheads were driving 442s, Chrysler 442s from back
My mom,
in the
when
day.
she talked about people in her day with the kids used to get were a bunch of Pintos for her and her friends.
Oh my God! Did like her parents want her to die or something?
I don't know, but apparently a lot of her friends really loved the Pinto, and everyone drove it back then.
Well, when Ford finally admitted the fault in that design, those Pintos' value of a Pinto went to nothing. That's why your mom was probably driving.
Well, everybody was driving it. It was like really cheap, huh?
Yeah.
Good luck, Doc.
Did anybody remember that the movie? It was one of the first movies with Val Kilmer in Top Secret.
Yeah, with the Pinto.
Come up on the Pinto and they just tap it, and then it just explodes.
They barely tap it. It just goes up.
You ever see the movie Super Troopers?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the bit where they throw the car in reverse and then they come back when they're fucking with the kids in the car with the weed?
yeah.
If you watch carefully, and they talk about it on the audio commentary, he fucking drops the transmission when he does that. And the fucking car guy afterwards, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You don't do that.
I love that. But yeah, my buddy when I was young, he had bought himself a Maverick and had work done on it. So it looked like, a Maverick, but that thing would lay rubber for like a block.
Those were badass little cheap cars.
Yeah,
it
was
made stuff
a
like
freaking
that.
monster.
Those things have ran forever.
Yeah.
I think if I had a choice, I think I'd want a 90s Challenger.
Oh,
Well, we were talking about this the other day. The modern Challenger is a fucking beauty.
It is. It's nice. I
Beautiful
like
fucking
them
car.
too.
No thanks. Too much electronics.
Oh, be quiet. Fuck. Go take your fucking black pill and live in your doom cycle out in your shack in the woods with a bear bald above your head as you type your manifesto. Send out your letter bombs, okay? Fuck Kaczynski. Vikinski. That's what you're going to do. You call me a fucking reprobate, I call you Vikinski from now on.
Yeah,
Or-
I don't
I
want
wasn't writing
I
anything
don't
like
want a
that.
recent car for that
Or
reason.
like a
It's too much
79 Trans
long,
Am.
but-
I really like the old school
Oh,
Trans Am.
79 Trans Am would be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
and then of
Wow.
course, I'm sure you all know Ted Kaczynski was one of the few people ever in the world to win the Leeds medal for mathematics.
So what were you saying, Doc? I didn't hear you over left.
I got to get a new car, and I'm dreading it because I.
And you
don't
gotta fix your
want
mic.
anything new.
You sound like you're in the fucking barrel again. That's why we can't hear you.
My
Oh,
dad
is
had
it-
an '84
I like
IROC.
you.
I wish I could find that thing again.
Let's see
One of
now.
the first ones off the factory floor. It was sent to the dealer.
Audio.
My dad knew the dealer. He came to our house. My dad took it for a drive and brought it home, parked it in the garage, told the dealer, send me the bill. He says, I can't sell you that. He says, you'll figure out a way. He parked the IROC in the garage.
I guess I'd rather have a new Mustang than a new what is it, Chevy Camaro. My papa had a newer Camaro. Apparently, those things ride terrible.
I live in the Northeast. You don't buy Camaros or IROCs because you're not Italian. Therefore,
that is a requirement.
I heard that
they are the
just
ultimate Guido
they're
cars.
terrible.
You ever saw that Eddie Murphy bit where about Italian guys who just saw Rocky and they're like they're all badass. He's standing in line. And the guy's like, "Yeah, give me I'm gonna have a popcorn, a drink, a jujube, and the moolie here's gonna pay for it." I'm sorry, what did you say? You heard me moving. He's like, "Oh, you just saw Rocky, didn't you? Listen, why don't you get your shit, get in your IROC Z28, and get the fuck out of here."
Yeah,
I remember I was in school in my senior year of high school. I was going to an alternate school in the Greek neighborhood, Park X. And this one, she was hot. She was a good-looking Greek girl. She was looking out the window, and all I heard her say was, "Oh, would you look at that beautiful Trans Am?" And all I thought to myself was, no, they're beautiful cars, but you don't remark on a Trans Am. You remark on a Ferrari. You remark on a Lambo. You remark on a really nice Porsche Carrera, but you don't fucking remark on a Trans Am. But that's when I learned Montreal Greeks and Italians, there's a reason we call the collective group Genos. It's just Genos.
Look,
that's funny.
Whenever it comes to new cars, those old Trans Ams look beautiful.
Are we going with the Trans Am Reliant?
Firebird, baby. We're going with the Firebird.
Yeah, Firebird.
Always with the Firebird. And not that 80s Mustang. What the fuck was that 80s Mustang? What the fuck was that?
So ugly for a while. They got so hideous for like a 10-year
And everyone bought them in white. Like every time I saw one, it was white.
Why, though?
Yeah, those were wild.
I haven't seen the new Corvette. I love the Stingray. The Stingray is a beautiful car.
My dad always talks good about the Roadrunner.
The new Corvettes look like off-brand Ferraris now. They're like... They made the Stingray forever. That was like 20 years they were making that.
I'm not a fan of the Stingray.
I love the Stingray. Yeah, I'm looking at the 25 Corvette. No. It's not a Corvette.
That is cool.
That's nice. That's nice. The iron price. Will you pay it?
What can you tell me about a Roadrunner?
They don't make them anymore?
Yeah, they don't make them anymore.
That's what I can tell you about it. They don't make them anymore, and it was the preferred car of Richard Petty.
Yeah, the 69 Roadrunner is a fucking beautiful car.
And I think the company that made them no longer even exists. I can tell you that.
Yeah, they don't.
It's Plymouth.
Yeah, I think Plymouth is no longer.
Plymouth, Pontiac, all these car brands are gone. You know what I mean? They're like owned by other companies.
Yeah, they are owned by other companies because there was this whole joke about bringing back Pontiac. Pontiac is apparently bringing back the Trans Am. I forgot who was the owner of Pontiac, though.
GM. I think it's GM.
Probably.
GM? Okay.
Yeah, I know one of them's owned by Fiat. Like one of the American car companies is owned by Fiat.
Chrysler's owned by Fiat Lambo. Or Fiat Ferrari, sorry.
Yeah. And that's Stellantis. Stellantis owns Chrysler, Fiat.
Wasn't Fiat the company that used to make tractors but then went to luxury cars?
Lamborghini?
No.
Was that Lamborghini?
But Fiat does stand for fix it again, Tony.
People say, but I never had a problem with mine. And
my buddy owns a Ford right now, and it's like he spent thousands of dollars fixing this thing over the last 2 years. And every time I hang out with him, I just get to say all the lines, right? Found on road dead, fix or repair daily, 4 old rusty doors. Like it just gets.
I like the old joke with that. It's like Dale going, "Yeah, you know what Ford stands for? Fix it again, Tony." It's like Hank. That's Fiat, Dale. Fix it again. Then he just shuts up.
But
yeah, I'm currently cursed with a Ford. It's the last one I'll ever own.
My family seems to like it. I was never a fan. Every time we got like a what was it? What was that really popular Ford from like the 04 era? Crap.
We had a Ford Ranger in the 80s, that thing was tough as fucking nails.
It wasn't a Ranger. It was a car.
Yeah,
a four-door
Rangers
car.
were really good.
The Focus, the Taurus, the Escort.
Taurus. That was it. Everybody was enamored with that thing. I don't get why.
I
didn't
hated
like
them
it.
things.
I
The
never
Ford
understood
trucks
the
and
Civic
the cars
Nation.
were very
That's the
different.
thing I never understood. The Civic Nation was such a weird thing. Everybody driving these fucking Honda Civics.
I heard Honda
So-
Civic's a pretty reliable car.
Oh, it is. But like there was just like this entire movement in the early 2000s. And they literally called it the Civic Nation. And it was all just everybody, you know, Civic owners. It was like so weird.
Hey,
Mhm.
I think I'd at least appreciate the car for being reliable.
I would just like to drive a car and not join a cult, is what I'm saying.
I know, I get that. I never heard of the Civic
Down
Nation. though.
here, do you like the old 70s Toyotas, the little white ones that had like a 3-cylinder engine or some shit? The engine was like that big. It was like that was the Puerto Rican dream. Like almost every Puerto Rican dude you knew had like that old Toyota Corolla, but the old one, you know, with like 2 doors, and it was like barely, it was smaller than my Fiat. And they were, like you said, they would meet in like little clubs and talk about their freaking 50-year-old Toyota. It's
Oh, it's
like,
insane.
no, thanks.
It's insane. We have car clubs here. There's a couple of places they meet that are like really interesting. And one of them is this place that's called the Orange Julius. And it's this like old drive-in car hop type place. And it's a giant orange, right? Like that's the gimmick of it. It's a giant orange with a massive parking lot around it. And like every Saturday it's bikers, and like every Friday night it's car owners. But man, there's some nice fucking cars. You know what I mean? Like some of the guys that show up, they got some real, and I mean old, refurbished, you know, like kept alive
Nice
cars,
cars.
not
Yeah.
fucking modern. There's tons of modern shit, but like you see all these guys talking about their fucking skylines and all this shit being all modern, fucking whatever. And then some guy pulls up in like a fucking 67 Chevy. And everybody just stops fucking talking and watches him drive through. You know what I mean? It's
Because
like, yeah.
everybody knows that's the shit there.
And you know it's the right guy when you see he's like, you know, in his 50s, his 60s, and his fucking wife, who's of comparable age, sitting right beside him, proud as can be. It's like, that motherfucker married right. You know what I mean? That guy married a chick who understood how important the car was. Good for him.
we, believe it or not, Bear, and I know you'll believe it, we have a thing down here Friday night where
Yeah.
everybody drives their cars through this place called Old Town, which is like a
Oh, they just drive down the road slow?
stuff like that. But the rule down here is it has to have classic plates on it, or you can't be part of the lineup.
And I guess that costs extra to get those classic plates, right?
The classic, I don't know if it
Well,
costs
it's a
extra or not.
one-time
They're just
charge.
they're blue.
It's a what? Let me tell you, I got them online. I got it online. $495, and guess what? It plated forever.
Really?
$495. Yep, you played it forever. You never have to go get another plate on it. Mine's good until 2099.
Yeah, down here they're blue with white letters and they say classic.
Nice.
So if you
Yep,
go to Old
it's a
Town
one-time charge
on Friday night,
There's certain rules
Yeah.
on them. There's certain rules now that you're not supposed to drive them more than 20,000 miles a year or something
I don't
like
know if
that.
these people do, but you'll see like dudes, I shit you not, in like Model Ts and then Chevy Bel Airs, 3 or 4 of those. You know, it's like all these
Oh,
old
yeah.
freaking like 50s, 60s, 70s cars, you know?
You know, I just recently saw a video about the Model T, and a couple of
Yeah.
guys actually took their Model T to a Ford dealership to get worked on.
Listen, as the man said, you can have the Model T in any color you like, so long as the color is black.
Yeah.
Some of us is having an audio issue. We're getting chipmunk feedback. Is that me or is that someone else?
I don't know.
All right, I'm talking. Do you hear
Not
it happening
me.
from me?
Doc.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's
Doc.
Doc.
Oh, fuck, the Predator's coming to get us. It's
Yeah,
Doc.
it's Doc. Doc, your audio's
Yeah, your audio just went.
Mike.
Whoa.
It's a chipmunk and a predator coming to get us. We're in trouble now, boys.
It's still happening. I think
Turn off
something
that
went
mic,
wrong
Doc.
with your mic.
Go back to the garbage mic.
Uh-huh.
Okay, how about now?
Oh, that's
There it
better.
goes.
Okay.
We got to get you a new mic for your birthday, man. We'll get you a Yeti Blue or something.
Yeah.
Just no luck with the audio.
Fuck, I hate that I can't hear you and I have to turn you up and then everybody else blows my eardrums out.
I'm not having that much trouble with them.
Well, I have to turn my fucking audio down because I don't use a headset, so I don't want to loop you guys back from my speaker.
That's fair.
That's okay, Doc. You be comfy. You gonna go help Janet and them do characters tonight?
Oh, I still got to do mine. In fact, I still got to read the book to figure out how to do mine.
Well, then why don't you guys make a group call and do it together?
Look at that. Solving problems and everything.
Good God.
They just sprung on me. I got to work another Saturday.
That sucks.
And they're totally violating our union contract, except our union leaders keep letting them do it. They're like, oh, no, we gave them permission. Like, well, fucking stop doing that.
That's right. We have labor laws in Canada. We don't need unions to make deals. We have simple labor laws like you can't book me without more than 12 hours notice. You can't do this unless you fucking do this. And as a result of that, get treated a little bit better and we don't unionize as much.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've never seen a union I liked, and this is part of the reason why. I feel like the union is just there to screw over the union guy.
Well, the union is there to make money. Okay, and my buddy used to work at this place called Elizabeth Arden, which was he's a hairdresser, and it's a hair salon that they had in the Bay stores when the Bay was like one of the biggest
Well, I'm
companies.
saying they sell them out. That's what
Hang on, I'm telling the story, Leth. If you listen, you hear what I'm agreeing with you. So he basically organized a union in their branch in Vancouver, and he basically got everybody together. You know, he took on management. He did the whole thing. He fought like a fucking devil and got the union. And when the fucking store and the union had their negotiations, the store said, we agree to all of your terms, except we want one thing. And they were like, what? We want to be able to fire him. And the union went, yeah, all right. So he basically did all the legwork, got everything done, got the union in, and the agreement to get the union in was to fire his ass and take him out of the picture. You know what I mean? That's how shitty unions are.
Yes.
Unions are shit.
Yeah, it's just somebody else with their hand in your pocket. Usually.
Or up your ass.
I got enough stories about unions to kill a horse, and I'm sick of them too. So
Well,
When you do that crazy commie thing of having people actually enforce your labor laws that you've put in place to protect workers, you don't find yourself needing unions as a general rule.
here's the craziest one. Since I'm a truck driver, I have to go get something called a TWIC card. Is for going in ports, right?
Yeah.
What ports are around Minnesota? But I still need a TWIC card to go into certain union facilities. It's like,
Doesn't Duluth have a port?
yeah, but guess what? Nobody uses it. Nobody cares. You can drive right in and it doesn't matter. But certain facilities inside the Twin Cities, you need a TWIC card. Or if
That
you go
sucks.
to, like, I know, it's like, why am I going to spend $200 for a TWIC card and I'm going to go in there one time a year or 2 times a year? It doesn't make sense.
We have a similar thing in Vancouver. If you got a security contract, which was a damn good one to get, if you were security, you got the contract for the site for the container port. I mean, shit, you were making big money. Like you were literally doing like 25. This back, early 2000s, you were doing $25 an hour. Back when everybody else was making, 10. It was a great gig, but you had to pay your annual $500 permit fee to be able to walk into that fucking place, right? And that would make more security background checks and all this bullshit you had to go through. So a lot of guys didn't do it in the end because it just wasn't, it was too much money up front. $500 was a lot of fucking beans when you're working for, $10 an hour in 2000,
Yeah. I know, but they that's part of the union thing. It's just one of the scams that they've got to finagle more cash out of you. The union here in Minnesota, the trucking union, they went almost bankrupt because the contract between the president and the union stated that they've got to pay all his legal bills. Well, they fired him, and he turned around and sued the union because he did illegal acts. And of course, he isn't going to go hire no $10,000 firm. He hired a $2 million firm to sue the union, and it bled him dry.
When I worked in film, we used to love when American. So we have IATSE, here, which is the normal film union, but all the transport is done by the Teamsters, right? So nothing would be funnier than, oh, we've got to move, like on Battlefield Earth, we've got to move Mr. Travolta's trailer. All right, well, we've, you guys Teamsters, move it. Oh, no, we're not allowed. We put a call in, there's a guy coming. You know what I mean? Like, that's how fucking insane. And then the guy shows up and there's like 10 Teamsters watching as he hooks up a fucking trailer and all that. And everybody's watching. It's like, what the fuck is this?
Oh, yeah.
The fuck?
I tried to unload one day at the Port of Baltimore. One pallet. Pallet jack is sitting there. I could have had it off the truck in 5 minutes. It took me 3 fucking hours to get that goddamn thing off. Somebody had to come over. You had to be union. You had to do it. And it's like, oh my fucking God. And then I got tired.
And Americans sit around wondering why exactly Asia is kicking their ass in markets. So it's like, well, because they don't do that shit. They don't do that. That's what they don't. Now, they also will have their people die happily in an industrial accident and go, oh, that really sucked. No, well, too bad for, Wan Jing, but go hire someone to replace them. Let's move on.
Or put
That's
them in
the other
such working
trade-off.
conditions that they'll try to commit suicide.
Yeah, there's all those trade-offs you have to deal with, but at least, shit goes out the door on time.
Man. Well, China in particular has a really fascinating view on corporate regulation. Do whatever you want. You embarrass the party, somebody's getting shot.
He shows up just to make fun of Baltimore.
There we go. Bang, bang!
I don't know. I think that should be a national pastime.
But exactly what I'm talking about and all the bullshit you have to do.
You guys have said your piece about it, and now I'm going to say my piece, which is I loved my union.
Yeah, but yours was different.
Yours was definitely
Protection services unions are always better.
Forever, baby.
Yeah,
I would still be a member if I could be.
Listen, protection services unions are always the best fucking unions, right? Because let's be honest, they have enough members who can kill them or save their lives that they don't act like fucks with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, let's not screw over the guy that actually could save our life or kill us.
Because the administration at the municipality where I worked, hated us. So if we didn't have a union, oh man, they'd fire you for anything.
So just to refer to the whole fixing your own stuff thing that you guys were talking about earlier, and can't change the oil in your car without voiding the warranty and stuff like that. There's a case coming before the EU soon, and Apple's getting hit again. So they got the USB-C hit last time. This one's on the right to repair, right? Because you can't open up your Mac and fix it if there's something wrong with it.
That's some bullshit right there with this.
Well, now that's going to the EU Council, and let me tell you, the way the EU votes, Apple's going to eat a bag of shit on that one, and the right to repair is going to become uniform. You know what I mean? In Europe. And once it's cheaper for Apple to adapt that, like they did USB-C to North America, than have two different systems, right? But never forget, those victories cascade out from just the one company they're against, right? So you'll have when GM tries to tell you avoided your warranty, you'll be like, motherfucker, I got the right to repair according to the United Nations or the United European Agreement, blah, blah, blah. And then they don't want to go to fucking court over that. So they'll just be like, okay, fine, whatever, and move on with their day. So I will give consumer groups one fucking thing that I appreciate about them. They can actually do a good job of fighting. We got it in Quebec. They put a rule in place in Quebec, which is you don't sell extended warranties here, right? You have a right that anything you buy has a lifetime attached to it. And you are supposed to have reasonable use of it within that lifetime. So if it's like a washing machine, it's like a 10-year lifetime or something like that. So all this bullshit where they're like, we're only going to give you 1 year on parts and labor, and then you can buy an extended warranty. Yeah, not in Quebec. Fuck you. You know what I mean? In Quebec, you're going to support that fucking thing until the day it dies. And we have a chart for every piece of technology and item you buy of how long it's expected to live for. Right?
Probably makes the people who make them want to make sure their shit is going to work.
It's kind of crazy how that goes hand in hand.
Right? I remember back in the day, if you bought a Dell and cracked that case open, all the components were soldered together.
Yep, that's what Mac does now.
So you couldn't take like the RAM out to replace RAM or anything.
Yeah.
Because everything was soldered in. And it was just like, fuck, man.
Why not just make it modular where you could take it out and replace it easily?
Because if you had bought a Dell and then you decided you needed to upgrade it for more RAM or something, because you were going to play a game, you had to buy another something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's. I remember when I had my my G4 Mac, which was still one of the best computers I ever owned. The way they designed this tower, you opened it up on the side and folded the side panel down, and the motherboard was split in two. Some components inside and some on the panel. So it was really easy to work in and add RAM. You didn't have to. I never cut my fucking knuckles, rubbing them off a fucking chassis or any of that bullshit working in my Mac. And then fucking Tim Cook takes over, and now everything's hardwired components. And it's like, go fuck yourselves,
Here's the fun part. I seen a guy on YouTube. He actually opened up like an Apple product. I forgot what kind of laptop, but it showed a heatsink on the CPU and a fan not attached to anything off to the side.
Yeah, but Macs don't overheat as a general rule.
Yeah, those CPUs tended to overheat and actually die a lot.
Oh, then that was probably a very old Mac that had problems. Because
Macs
telling you,
generally don't overheat, but that's because they don't have any games worth playing on them. That might.
Oh, they do now. That's changed. I mean, I don't play games. You guys know I don't give a fuck about video games. But I can honestly say Macs has gotten a lot better.
This is a guy who actually, for a living, worked on computers. He talked about having a lot of these come by, and surprise, surprise, every time it was a CPU dying because of overheating.
Could be. I don't know.
Somebody's got visitors at their house. I heard a doorbell.
Yeah, that's me, but I don't.
Yeah, what I had like Mac C475, one of the old pizza box ones. You couldn't get any software for that back then. This was like
Mac has improved considerably, but there was a time where you couldn't play
much of anything on it
on a Mac. Like you just couldn't. It was just not the way it was going to be. Hang on.
Software. Nobody liked working with it.
I love work. Like I'm telling you,
it was actually the Mac software was much easier to deal with. Like there was none of these with Windows. There's like 500 little like hidden things all over your computer. Mac there's a preference file.
So one buddy of mine once said the best line I ever heard about the difference between PC and Macintosh, between Windows and Mac. He said it. He goes, Macintosh is Catholicism, PC is Protestantism. So when you open up your Mac, there's a whole bunch of interesting icons and pretty things, and you've got to do the right routine, and you do everything
he froze
perfectly as you want. Did I freeze?
No.
No? Okay. He goes, and then Windows is like Protestantism. You get out of it what you put into it. It's just like that's a pretty good assessment.
Well, hey, I do like one thing. You can actually play the original Wizardry on Macintosh, and it's weird because you know how executables on Windows, it would open up its own little thing? In Macintosh, instead, you play the entire game out of like
There's
a window
something
of
definitely
Macintosh.
going on with the sound all of a sudden.
Like it'll like Macintosh when you try to play Wizardry, you actually have like individual like pop-up files pop up to play that thing, and I find that funny.
That's cool.
The original software problems with Mac back in the 90s wasn't that people didn't want to work on it. It's just that all the retailers, Microsoft had this rules where if you didn't carry 90% of their stuff, they wouldn't sell anything to you.
Yeah.
So they basically strong-armed. And
Back before they bailed out Mac and kept them alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've got an Acer. Acers have been around forever, and this Acer I have, it runs everything I want to run, and it was like 500 and change brand new.
I got my somewhat custom PC.
I got my lousy little Dell down here that I bought for can't even remember. I think about $600-700 at an auction, a charity auction.
Like, what was it? An FX? Let's see, not FX anymore. It was a Ryzen 5700, and I can't remember the graphics card in this thing. RX 6700 XT.
Yeah, I don't even know what language you're speaking.
Basically, a good mid-size CPU and GPU to play games on.
This one's got an i5 and some kind of NVIDIA GTX GeForce thing. But, I mean, I could play Ark on it. I could play Conan Online on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll play pretty much any game. The problem is it'll overheat like a bastard, too.
I know. I used to have an HP. I used to do that on. I'd play like Arcade on that thing, and let's just say it wasn't fun having that lay on my lap whenever it was overheating. Whenever it was playing.
I at one point in time looked into doing the mineral oil cooled CPU and everything else, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is goddamn expensive.
I mean,
See, my mom had one of
it's
those.
it's more feasible and just better to go for a water cooled. I don't know why you would try mineral oil.
Because the mineral oil it doesn't rust any components, and it's 100% environmental and everything else. And
I mean,
it just keeps everything lubed, you know.
I would still say it's just simpler to just water cool things if you really wanted to, and if you keep it completely water, like if you keep it pretty well watertight, it's not going to rust anything. At least nothing all that important, I think.
Well, I mean, he had what he had.
Or wanted what he wanted, I guess.
My mother had an Alienware that was like that. And let me tell you, she always had to call me to move it anytime she wanted to move it. Because the Alienware she had, the case it came in, that thing weighed like 200 pounds. It was insane. But it had this big freaking space age looking case, and it had like neon lights all. Is like I have no idea
with Alienware
for that.
I had a
too much, sadly.
I had an Alienware laptop. It was like a $6,500 laptop. It lasted beautifully for 10 years, and it just went Chernobyl one day.
Yeah,
Alienware, what they
like
do
Alienware.
It's basically making a flashy case for a mid-tier PC.
Yeah, I didn't buy any Alienware shit because I like my room dark at night and not fucking, a goddamn Miami club.
That's fair too.
Yeah,
I just bought a Bluetooth speaker that's like that, Bear. I'm like, how do I turn off these goddamn flashy lights and stuff? I just want it to be a speaker only.
Seriously. I don't need a rainbow fucking filling my room because I'm listening to a song.
Right.
So I'm trying to fall asleep. So what I do, I got a Beats pill. None of that bullshit. Solid black, one fucking light. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's fair. I don't have to worry about that. I didn't put any flashy LEDs on my computer. I can play music if I really want to.
My mom's Alienware looked like a circus. Like if you walked in and the lights were dimmed in her computer room, it looked like a circus was going on somewhere.
Yeah.
It was like Bear wants his bedroom lit up like the Blue Oyster in Police Academy. Uh-oh. That's a little personal. How you doing, Brucey Bruce? But yeah, that's
which I really do need to get like a new hard drive for the C drive on this thing. Yeah, it's getting hard to hold anything whenever your main hard drive is like 100 gigs.
I keep going.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Bear doesn't want his bedroom to look like what? I was getting a coffee. I didn't hear the tail end of that.
Like the Blue Oyster
Club
in Police Academy.
No, that's Shadow's computer. Come on, man. I don't want my computer to look like I'm at a fucking Eurotrash rave. That's all I'm saying. Fuck.
Right? Or freaking a circus.
I love that. I heard what you said. My mother's computer made the room look like a circus. I'm like, that's brilliant.
And and it was like because this thing, the case, I mean, it was massive, and it was just covered in lights. And then the keyboard that came with it was also covered in lights. Like the mouse she got had lights on it. it was just like, what is going on here? You know?
It's basically what I think it was. Is do you remember back in the 90s and even into the 2000s, they were putting running lights on cars and all that kind of crazy shit all the time?
Oh yeah.
I think that was
It's
the
the nerd
computer
equivalent to
equivalent
that.
for 15-year-old boys who couldn't have a car with a bunch of bullshit on it. So now they had a computer with a bunch of bullshit on it.
It's
Makes
the nerd
sense,
equivalent of that, yes.
The guy I bought my pickup truck from put those lights underneath there. Half of them didn't work. I just ripped the ball out. I just said, "Fuck it! I don't need these goddamn things."
There was a car. I remember we were watching this. We were downtown Montreal, and this guy had a fucking low sports car. Like it was like, maybe 3 inches clearance. Like it was whatever the limit, 4, whatever it is. He was at the limit, but then he had put the running lights on it, and he was driving down St. Catherine Street trying to look like a big bad boy and all that. And then at one point he fucking gunned the engine. He lurched ahead, hit a fucking pothole. This city has potholes that in the past, and I'm not joking, you can look this up, had literally eaten cars. Like the car, and the car's vanished 10 feet, And he hit a fucking pothole, and his bottom just went across the fucking asphalt, and all the fucking lights blew. Like it was one, LED, right? There was an LED, it was neon. And it just like you heard the crash, you saw the lights go out, and the whole fucking street started laughing. Now, how much of a dick are you going to feel like when you've got 300 strangers laughing at you?
It's like, sorry about your luck, Pierre. Go get that shit fixed.
I just
Randy.
don't understand what use
Pierre,
they are.
fuck you, Anton. Anyway, sorry, what was that, Vic?
I said I just don't understand the use of them. I don't understand why we
Because
need
no
them.
use.
like
Do they have
male
to get
birds
underneath
have
the car
brighter
enough?
plumage, shitty males have to have brighter
okay.
plumage on their car to try and attract the female, while the guy who just
Yeah.
rolls up in the fucking Mustang guns the engine one time and all the bitches get wet. You know what I mean?
Well, is that sort of like the big belt buckle theory? Down in Texas, the bigger the belt buckle, the smaller the.
No. My buddy,
I'll have to ask some of my Texans.
my buddy Tater Porter, he had a collection of giant belt buckles, but that was because he was a rodeo champion.
Oh, that's different.
He
Yeah, that's
won
different.
like now
Yeah,
he
but
basically.
if you're just at the
handicapped.
Piggly Wiggly and some guy walks in with Captain America's shield as his belt buckle, maybe he's compensating.
Right. but now Tater Porter's kind of, I think, handicapped a lot because doing all that rodeo shit f's you up pretty bad.
I would think.
Oh,
Especially if they
All right,
take
so I knew a guy, his name was John Walsh, not to be confused with the guy from TV. He was a stunt guy. Before he became a stunt guy, he was an underwater arc welder, and he decided to quit doing that and become a stunt guy because it was less fucking dangerous, right? That was his thing. During a strike in the early 80s, when the film industry went on strike, a bunch of these guys got together and they decided they were going to fucking a stunt show to take around to like derbies and stuff like that. And they did pretty well for themselves because I remember the one night because we were in fucking Tennessee or something like that. And his stunt that he was doing with the car goes down the ramp, comes up, the ring of fire explodes, and then the car comes through and lands on the other side where the audience is entertained. He goes, as I hit a fucking the fucking land, my helmet flies off and smashes through the windshield, and the audience cheers like maniacs because they think my fucking head's come off. That was the day he realized Americans are fucking insane.
Well, it is Tennessee, man.
What was that? Sorry?
I said that is Tennessee, though.
Yeah, well, there you go, right?
So you get what you deserve. But yeah, Bear's right. Like when I lived in the trailer park, we had like Mexicans, black dudes, and rednecks. I would be one of the rednecks, I guess.
I would assume because you don't look Mexican or black, so
Right. But
Yeah.
so all three of these groups lived there, and you could tell because like the Mexicans would always be working on their lowriders. The black dudes that had the money would all be buying the spinning rims and shit like that. And then all the rednecks would have these jacked up F-250s all bulldogged out with all the chrome all over. And then of course I had a Saturn SR2. So I wasn't competing with anybody. But it was just like, it's so funny because it's like these dudes are working their asses off, living in a trailer park and driving a $90,000 car. I mean, by the time you count up all the work they've done on them, you know, like, so, I mean, just shows how similar people actually are under the skin. You know what I mean? And it's just the way it is.
Yeah, but
You know,
here's
the brothers
James,
will be living in a shitty
I got
single
my
wide
pickup, and I have the original.
with a freaking Cadillac all just decked out. You know,
Right.
You know,
okay.
I need to find that weird cartoon called Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
Yeah,
It's a
that was a
comic book
role-playing
first.
game too.
That was a comic book first.
Was it?
Yep.
It was a role-playing game by Game Designers Workshop.
Yes, it was.
It used their home system, which was kind of a percentile system.
My nephew really likes
Wait,
cars
you're-
and dinosaurs, so maybe he'll like the show.
I don't know. I guess classic cars are three type of guys. There's the guys that want it all original looking, from head to toe, engine and everything. There's the guys that have the sleeper cars, and then you got the flashies. And I'm more of the sleeper. I want everything looking original on the outside. You guys roll up next to it, and you're like, "Oh, isn't that a nice old pickup truck?" And then I drop the hammer, and it goes 125 miles an hour.
I'd accept the sleeper over the flashies. God, no thanks on that.
Yeah, they're pouring so much money into chroming everything on their
I had,
car. I mean, I got
I had an
original
apartment
rims.
like that in the late 90s. We were in a mediocre part of town. Like, it wasn't a high end, wasn't a low end, but the front of the building, the brickwork was never touched up. All the doors had fucking like cracked paint and shit like that. And, you know, the windows were old windows and you put curtains up and all that. And we called it urban camouflage. Because inside,
Yeah.
beautiful, fucking nice hardwood everywhere. We had expensive electronics. We tricked the place out. But the outside, that looked like shit. So ain't no one going to come by and go, they must have some good stuff in there. They think, oh, those fuckers are on welfare, and they keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Telling you, man, you gotta camouflage your shit.
Have been able to tow an Airstream, but mine, you couldn't kill that little car. And it was back when Saturn was an independent company. I had the two-door, Saturn Sports Coupe or whatever it was, and I mean that thing just refused to die.
Saturns were great cars. The problem is, whoever owned, was it GM that owned them? The guy.
Well, they got bought out. They were an independent company when they very first started.
Yeah, somebody took over at GM or whoever the parent company was, and basically hated them and just like started siphoning off money out of them and basically deliberately killed the line.
It was Penske. It was Penske that bought Saturn eventually.
Yeah, they went from being like some of the best little cars you could get to being trash. Like as soon as they got bought out, it was like they weren't good anymore.
Well, this ties back to the computer stuff we were talking about earlier, right? You guys remember when Compaq bought Hewlett Packard? And we're like, oh, well, this could go one of two ways. Compaq could improve their game by having Hewlett Packard's quality, or nope, they're going to just reduce Hewlett Packard to Compaq standards and make it a shit joke brand now. Because I remember when HP was a fucking top shelf computer at one point. Now it's shit.
Yeah, I've got a newer HP. It's a piece of crap.
Yeah.
I remember playing the original Sid Meier's Pirates and freaking Pull of Radiance on a Tandy.
Oh, yeah. I had a couple of those.
I don't even know what kind of Tandy it was. It's just
I had a Crash 80, right? TRS 80. That was my first computer. Then I had a Coco, and I had about 5 Cocos over color computers over the course of my life. And then my last one was a Tandy 386S. And that was the last time I bought a fucking Tandy. I'm like, I'm just going to spend money on good computers from now on. Fuck this shit.
Yeah, it is crazy too because you'll be playing like Pull of Radiance, and first you had to use the spin thing to put the proper code in to play the game.
Yeah.
Then you'd be playing the game, and then it'd stop and be like, "Insert disc B," and it was all 5 1/4
Yeah.
flops you're putting in this thing.
Dude, my Trash 80 was the 8-inch. My first Trash 80 was the 8-inch floppies. Remember those things? They were like
Oh
fucking
my God,
LPs.
no, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh God, yes.
They were huge.
Oh, Jose, you got your DCC core rulebook. Well, good news,
Nice.
bro. That's all there is.
Do you like that you actually use the picture of the floppy disk as a save symbol?
Right. I mean, I think DCC, if I look at my stuff, they make like a second book, but it's just some optional shit. You don't need it. If you have the DCC core book,
Probably
then I
don't
guess
even
you
know
can buy
that
Goodman
anymore.
Games modules, but
You know, how many young guys actually see the save symbol and don't know that's the floppy disk? Probably
I
quite
don't
a
know.
few,
You're the
sadly.
youngest
Well,
guy
first
here.
of all, it's not a floppy disk. It's a 3.5 that wasn't floppy. So
Yeah,
that's that. You know, like,
the 3-inch discs were hard disk.
dude, you could
I
wing
know.
those at each other like as fucking weapons. Huge.
I
Yeah,
think they
that
still
was a
got them
huge
floppy disks,
upgrade.
though, even though
That was
they
a
aren't
huge
floppy
upgrade.
disks. You know, I think with what they say, it was more the stuff inside that they called they called it the floppy disk.
1970s van art. Yeah, the guys at Goodman Games, when they made Dungeon Crawl Classics, they really leaned into that like 70s vibe. Like if you look at the characters in the book, there's like a black chick with the afro puffs and a staff. She's the wizard. And like the fighter's got like the big freaking porn stash and he's wearing bell-bottom jeans and he's got 200 acts.
It's
I
a
mean,
weird.
they went hardcore into the, and they tell you that in the rule book. This is the game your stoned uncle would have played in the basement in '79 with the freaking black lights going. And I mean, they lean into that shit pretty hard. You know, so a lot of people love DCC. That's a fact. A lot of people love it. Load. Oh yeah, yeah. The loads doing freaking basic
Actually,
code. I also
just-
played Crescent Hawk's Revenge on that Tandy.
Yeah, use basic code to just play a game.
Yeah, it was like
I've seen that. I've seen
you were House
people
Steiner or some shit, and like
actually
some other house raided your planet and destroyed everything. And so you start a mercenary thing, the Crescent Hawks, and yeah.
I've seen those old
We
like,
use it as the main game.
computer OSs.
DCC is for people who like a lot of crazy kind of randomness in their game. Because every time the mage casts a spell, they roll the die 20 and add the mods. And the higher they roll, the more different the spell will be. Because instead of just saying magic missile, it's magic missile with a chart. And like if you barely make it, it's like you hit an enemy for 1 point of damage. But if you beat what you need by like 25, it's like you hit 5 enemies for die, 5 die 12 damage or some shit. And it's like everything in the game's that way. One thing that is cool about DCC though is fighters, as they level, they get bonus dice for damage. And to hit, I think at first through whatever level, it's like a die 4. So every time you roll to hit, you roll die 20 and a die 4, and then your damage and a die 4.
Yeah,
And
if
then
you want
it goes up as you level.
as a fighter, if you want up your dice damage, you have to up your strength.
Yeah. So it was pretty well. I mean, in AD&D, that was if your DM allowed you to play the Cavalier. Every time you leveled up, your strength, dex, and con went up by like percentile points. And if it ever broke 100, then the whole number would go up, and you'd start over again. So it was like a fighter having a strength 18, but it was whatever you had
18 point
had
something.
percentile scores next to it.
Yeah.
Which not a bad idea actually, that they were kind of experimenting with. We are the Coliseum. In my area, it's the Coliseum of Comics. They have 7 stores in Central Florida.
But talking about gaming, I can't wait for the future of that one game where I'm playing that Heronius cleric, because my character's planning on going on a crusade. basically against a foreign nation.
Pomarge?
What?
The Pomarge? Still getting ready for the Funnel Massacre?
No, there's like a nation of elves near my nation that my character was born in, and they're kind of jerkish and doing horrible things to them. So we have.
Are you playing Greyhawk?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's a custom setting.
All right, because I was going to say you must be near the Sheldamar Valley, and those elves are in Selene. And in the original Greyhawk, they had shut the border down so that only elves and I think gnomes were allowed to enter the Elvish kingdom.
Now there's like a bit of a like.
You mean Selene, or are you talking the Valley?
No, that's Selene.
Yeah,
and
Selene.
that's just north of the 3 Uliks.
Yeah, this is a homebrew setting.
Duchy and whatever of Ulik.
This is just a homebrew setting. DM allowed for Heronius to be in it, and kind of made my character around that.
Then I call heresy on you. Heresy, my good man. Heronius is a... What group was Heronius a part of? I think he might have been an Erdi god, but he was adopted by like everybody.
Well, look, I mean,
because all the Soloese gods were like evil.
Now in RuneQuest, I mean, we took gods from different groups. Like, I mean, that's why we have Bane in RuneQuest, and
it's like, yeah, man, play Greyhawk.
I would if I could. I probably would.
Custom rule set. Everyone's ability scores.
I got Greyhawk. Got multiple copies of it. Don't know what the problem with people is.
I don't think I have any Group 4 Greyhawk, sadly.
Yeah, Bruce. That's not a horrible idea. And like I said, I mean, AD&D did it, but only with one class, unless you count the monk, because the AD&D monk.
Oh, I gotta go. I'll see you.
Catch
you.
Okay, left. See you later.
The AD&D monk could actually increase a bunch of shit too. I'm out of here, guys. I didn't even know you were here. Freaking Hungar. But
did somebody say Greyhawk?
Did some? Yeah, me. I was saying if you're going to be a cleric of Heronius, you should be playing in Greyhawk.
Listen, I'm just going to say it. The Sheldamar Valley is the place to be.
Sheldamar, hell yeah. That's also when I was a part of Living Greyhawk. They divided the world into the kingdoms of Greyhawk. And I believe Florida was the Sheldamar Valley, and nice. Kentucky was Keeland.
Oh, nice!
And that was two of my favorite places. So,
I've always wanted to run a campaign set in the Sheldamar Valley, where the players eventually unite all the Ernsts into a kingdom.
Right.
Like, right. So it's not the duchy, the county, and the whatever principality. It's bringing them all together as one nation, basically.
You mean the Ernst? Are you talking Ernst?
No, Uliks.
Uliks, sorry, Ulik.
Uliks, there you
go. Ulik. Bring all the 3 Uliks together.
You're at the one Ulik, they have a dwarven ruler, and that's the one that borders the Pomarge.
Yes.
So they're always duking it out.
But it would be kind of fun to see like a united Ulik, and then have that united Ulik head into Pomarge at that point in time.
Right.
Speaking of which, where is the Pathfinder campaign taking place? Is it going to be the modified Greyhawk?
Well, because Cody really, really wants to be from Karamikos, yes. But I think for ease, because of, say, Janet, for example, who doesn't know the lore very well, the ease would have been just to set it in Golarion, the Pathfinder world, and make that easier because it's easier to find that information. But fuck it. I like, you know what? You guys will figure shit out, and we'll play it by ear as we go. But it's not set in the Sheldamar Valley. It's set up near the Bone March.
Yeah. Yeah, that's up like near the Bandit King. What's up, baby? Dinner. Okay. Well, it's dinner time, guys.
Well, that's
Which
good news.
Worked out perfectly since it's like 2 hours anyway.
Perfect.
So I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for joining me.
All right. Catch you on
Yeah.
the flip
I got
side.
that unit.